Hi everyone, instead of the usual what are we talking about, it's where are we going? Follow me on my first trip ever to Brisbane, Australia. I wonder why Brisbane? Who do we know that lives in Brisbane?
I gotta tell you.
And I didn't even tell the big guy I'm coming. I'm just gonna pop in, because everyone loves to pop in.
Yeah.
It's Elaine.
Come on.
This person does not believe in telephones, does she?
She likes to pop in. Likes to pop in too.
Okay, I've got my bags packed, my passport ready. Let's go. Well, I'm standing outside of Archie's home and I'm kind of nervous because I never announced I was coming, but it's Friday afternoon, so hopefully he's home. He's probably doing a live show with Clyde. Okay, here we go. Wish me well. Let's go. Oh, hello there, bird.
Archie, you have company. Run, run.
This is really happening. I recognize this. This is where he smoked all his cigars. Huh, does he normally leave his gate unlocked? Hello? Archie, you left your door unlocked. Archie! 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 Archie? He's probably really nervous, but also excited at the same time.
It's Rich from What's on the Wrist. Don't answer it. Don't answer it.
Shut up, bird!
Who the fuck is it?
Ooh, that's a good sign. He's home. It's Rich from What's on the Wrist.
Run, run.
Fuck. That's not that fucking rich guy, is it? Fuck. Fuck, what's he doing here?
He's probably more excited to see me.
What the fuck is he doing? Fuck. Turn the fucking lights off.
Archie, it's hot out here. Let me in. And I was punched by a kangaroo. Oh crap, it's coming back. Archie, let me in. Archie, get him off me. Archie!
What does that cunt want? Fuck me dead. Fuck me dead. What the fuck? I just want to make some videos in silence without that fucker turning up. Relax.
Archie?
Quiet.
Archie? Archie? Hello? It's Rich. Archie? Huh. Where'd he go? Incredible. I'm seeing where all the magic gets made. Maybe he's getting coffee for us. Well, that's odd. He's not answering for some reason. So, Hey Archie, thanks for doing the show with me. But I feel like I have to get something off my chest, because, to be honest, I'm a little disappointed. A lot disappointed, because I made the trip all the way down under to see you and maybe talk shop, but you weren't there. And I know, to be fair, I never gave you the heads up to let you know that I'm coming. Not to mention I was beaten up by Kangaroo Jack.
You must have just missed me.
Huh. Because I could have sworn I heard you say who's there.
Oh, that was my automated doorbell system. Yeah, you must have just missed me.
Wouldn't that kind of confuse the visitor? Well, in any case, we'll just have to collaborate via Hangouts on Air. Since you're widely regarded as the Rolex expert, I thought we'd talk about pre-owned Rolexes, the Mickey Mouse Rolex, and Grand Seiko. So Bloomingdale's, which is a US luxury department store, is now carrying pre-owned Rolexes. And I saw this there, and they were asking $7,700, but after certain discounts in the way of gift cards, it comes out to about $5,700, which is on par with other pre-owned Milgauses. So I want to know what your thoughts are on luxury department stores carrying pre-owned Rolexes. And I know Australia's has, I think it's David Jones. So does David Jones sell pre-owned Rolexes?
And I gotta be completely honest with you, no, I don't particularly like it, okay, because I think it really annoys me when a department store tries to do everything for everyone, and you shouldn't. You've got to focus, concentrate, or die. You try and do everything for everyone, you end up doing everything badly. And I mean, vintage watches, specialized second-hand watches is a very specialized industry, very specialized thing to do. Now, I understand a lot of these shops think it's a real turn on to have luxury watches there. It brings the punters in, but that's an old pawnbroker's trick. A pawnbroker would have a Rolex in the window to bring the punters in. But, I mean, look, when you're a luxury department store, I think it looks cruddy selling used merchandise. That really isn't the way to do it, because, in my opinion, you should be concentrating on certain merchandise and that's it. You shouldn't really try and do everything that everyone does there. What are they going to do? Sell prestige cars in the basement as well? It just gets very, very tacky. And my opinion itself is, no, I'm not a huge fan of it. I would much rather a specialized dealer does that, and selling secondhand watches. It's not something that you can just get a secondhand watch. It's a minefield. I mean, there's going to be warranty issues. There's going to be it's just a disaster, absolute disaster. I think it's concentrate at what you're good at, which is, dresses, shoes, and clothing, and perfume, and aftershave, and expensive chocolates. Leave the wristwatches to the specialized dealers. I think it's just being far too greedy to try and do those things there. So,
greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Department stores, I mean, they often sell, they do sell wristwatches, department store type wristwatches, kind of low end, bullshit fashion brand sort of things. And I've never really been that impressed by it. I kind of cringe at the thought of that sort of stuff. So no, I'm not a fan at all of department stores selling watches. Department stores selling pre-owned luxury watches, it's just completely wrong. It's such a specialized field. It's hard for a specialized dealer to do. I don't know how a department store, with their margins they need and things like that, how they could ever honestly make a go of it. So in all honesty, I think the idea sucks. It's a very good question. And in Australia, David Jones is our flagship. That's kind of our prestigious store there. We had the other one is Maya, which Maya's gone a little bit down market in recent times, but David Jones has really gone very high end. When I say high end, they sell some really expensive designers. They actually sell brand, like the shoes, Churches, Lokes. They sell, that's top end shoes. They sell Armani type clothing. They sell some really pretty unique sort of brands there. And with the question there, does David Jones carry pre-owned? No, they don't. David Jones uses an interesting model where they actually have boutiques. So these are boutiques that are inside the department store. Like they have a Christian Louboutin boutique. So that's the shoemaker, very expensive ladies' shoes. They also have they have Bulgari. Bulgari actually has a little boutique in the store. So, yes, they do sell Bulgari wristwatches in that boutique in the department store, but they don't actually sell decent. I mean, I kind of, Bulgari's a brand I kind of loathe. But for wristwatches, excellent jewelry, many things Bulgari does is really well done, but the watches, So that's about the most expensive watches David Jones does sell. So, but no, they do not sell pre-owned Rolex. Pre-owned Rolex is just a minefield. It's something I think a specialized dealer should sell, not a department store. The margins aren't there, to be honest with you. The margins are not there. So I don't think they could really make a go of it. But David Jones itself, there they do have some prestigious they have some prestigious brands there. They also have Ferragamo for the shoes. It's the ladies' shoes. Ferragamo. That's sort of a boutique brand there. Gucci. It's expensive. Gucci's dear. But nothing, thank God, in watches.
Very good points. So the second watch I want to talk about was the Mickey Mouse Rolex, and I did a video on this, and I really thought this is maybe the coolest Rolex that I've seen. I like this Mickey Mouse. He's just chilling at the 9 o'clock hour marker, and they were asking $2,800 for it, and for an 18 karat gold white bezel, and this watch is in really good condition. I wanted to know what your thoughts are on that price, but because $2,800 doesn't sound unreasonable to me, it makes me question whether or not the Mickey Mouse Rolex is a good investment piece. So what are your thoughts on the Mickey Mouse Rolex as an investment piece? And what else do you know about the Mickey Mouse Rolex?
Is $2,800 a fair price for a Mickey Mouse watch? Look, Mickey Mouse Rolex, look, that's 3,500 Australian. Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. Is it a fair price? Look, the unfortunate thing is these Mickey Mouse watches, Mickey Mouse Rolexes, they're not actually officially released. These are sold this way, and they're not actually authentically done through Disney or anything like that, from what I can fathom. I know a dealer I used to know overseas. He used to get some of these in, and he used to send the dials off and get them done. What do I think? Yeah, I suppose it's novel. It is a novel thing to have on it. It is something cool. It is a genuine Rolex, but I don't think they are actually released by Rolex as such. Personally, no, I wouldn't buy one myself. I wouldn't buy one myself. Yeah, they're novel. I can understand that, but that's still $2,800 US is still a lot of money. I suppose, it all depends on the watch that it's based on. What's the watch condition like and that there. So they kind of charge a high premium for it. So if you took off the Mickey Mouse factor, what's it worth? So that really gives you an idea of, is it a good deal or not a good deal? I don't think it's a terrible deal. I don't think it's a terrible thing, but I don't think it's a great thing either. So I would try and stay away from it personally. That's my view. I kind of think stay away from it. They're not a terrible thing to buy, but I don't see much appreciation in it really there. I think it's much better to get a Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. I'd be buying a used Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. I think that is a much better investment. I think that's a genuine good watch. You'll always sell it. These Mickey Mouse sort of things there. They're not official Mickey Mouse watch. They're not released by Disney. They're not official piece. So I would say myself there, no, I wouldn't touch it. I'd prefer to have a Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. I'd rather have a Man on the Moon. That's my opinion there indeed.
And here's what the person that was carrying the Rolex had to say about its condition. On how to determine a true vintage piece by, what's your name?
Pen.
Pen. All right.
Here's the thing though. So generally what happens is when they polish it, they usually they round off the edges. So one thing that most people look for is that sharp edge on the lugs. So this is a good indication that this was not really tampered with. And then you can see, and then they also judge it by this.
The flexibility.
This is a little more stretched than normal, but the condition is okay, but it's not like ideal. Ideal is probably like be really tight here.
So what do you think about that bracelet? When a bracelet's in this condition, can that be restored, or does one have to get an all new bracelet?
What he's talking about is the case. He's really saying, has the case been polished to the last nth? And I agree. That is always the case there. Oh, pun intended. With the ones that haven't been, normally these pieces, you're talking 30, 40-year watches, they get polished, and after about 20 polishes, you don't have those sharp edges, which is, when you see one with the sharp edges, they're just, supreme. So I would say yes. However, he leaves off dial refurbishing. So that's another thing which I think is very important on a vintage watch, dial refurbishing. And I got to tell you, a lot of these Mickey Mouse watches, the Mickey Mouse, they would have had a silver dial, or they've also been refurbished and then they put the Mickey Mouse logo sort of thing on there. So that's kind of what I think there. But it is true that the case has been polished. It's those sharp edges which the purists really look for. So I got to be honest with you, I don't think the one in the video is that bad. Actually, I think that's pretty good. I didn't think that's a terrible bracelet. I mean, to hold it on an angle like that, that's not really that fair. I mean, that bracelet is not... That bracelet's actually quite reasonable. Yes, it's not minty, but this is supposedly a 30-year-old bracelet. You'd expect it to have play in it, wouldn't you? And that's not terminal. I wouldn't be touching that. I think there's a fine line between you should just leave it. If it's really, really bad, then you could tighten it. But I don't see any problem with that bracelet at all. Mainly, you see the more stretch on the two-tone, which is the steel and yellow gold, because the yellow gold being a very softer metal than steel, it really does stretch quite a bit more. So that's really where you see this as a bigger problem. There are companies that do tighten these things. You can get bracelets tightened. I'm always hesitant. I think it's better to leave it original unless you really it is quite unusable. So I'd always tend, as a purist, think you're best to leave things unless it's going to be it's just completely unusable there. So
I knew you'd know a lot about that subject. And the third watch is a Grand Seiko. This is my Grand Seiko, where it has both Seiko and Grand Seiko on the dial, but Grand Seiko is now rebranding itself and trying to distinguish itself from the regular Seiko lineup by dropping the Seiko name and just putting Grand Seiko across the top of the dial. So Grand Seiko is now front and centered, but this isn't making everyone happy. Some people feel that Grand Seiko is moving away from the original roots, but that's not true, because Grand Seiko's first release in 1969 didn't have Seiko Grand Seiko on the dial. It simply had Grand Seiko. So for me, I don't mind this move because it's more of Grand Seiko moving towards the original roots. So Archie, what do you think this will do for Grand Seiko's image and status, and what do you think it's going to do for Grand Seiko in terms of sales going forward?
Okay. Look, I think this is kind of a very much an evolution, not a revolution. I think Seiko itself is a fabulous brand. I mean, it's not, it's never, I'm not a huge Seiko fan myself. I like luxury watches, but I gotta tell you, some of these Grand Seikos, they are pretty damn amazing pieces. Would I ever get a Grand Seiko? Possibly. If someone gave me one, or one came up at a bargain price, definitely. Grand Seikos are really amazing quality. So, how do I feel about the rebranding, putting the Grand on it there? I suppose, this is always the problem. They've got to differentiate the brand to justify the premium. So it's definitely, I understand why they're doing that, to make it more educate the market more, to differentiate the difference between a normal Seiko and a Grand Seiko. How do I feel about it? I think, look, it's not a huge big thing. It's a very evolutionary thing there. So I can't see it being a bad or a good thing. I don't think it really changes it, because, I mean, the whole thing about the Grand Seiko was they are top quality. They don't need fancy branding changes to establish what they are. They are fantastic watches, and I don't think it's a bad thing either, stressing the Grand Seiko, but I don't think it's a big revolutionary change. It's an evolutionary change. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, whether it's branded Grand Seiko or not. Look, they've got a very big following. The Grand Seikos have got a huge following, And they are fantastic watches themselves there. Will it help? I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's going to make terribly much difference. And I say that because there's a lot of snobbery in the watches. It's a Japanese, not a Swiss. One thing I'll tell you is, in Japan, the Japanese people themselves are very, very proud of Grand Seiko. And they have a lot of Seikos which are for Japanese market released pieces. And Citizen does a similar thing. And they're very, very nationalistic, very proud people. Rightly so, rightly so. I think the Grand Seiko brand itself certainly deserves a big... they really are fantastic pieces there. So I'd have no problem with it. I don't know whether the rebranding is going to really do much. I think they've got a very good solid base. I think it's just sort of part of the bigger picture. I don't think it's going to have a big impact whatsoever. So yeah, that's my opinion. Just my opinion.
That was great input, Archie. Thanks very much. I really enjoyed this collaboration. I knew you would have some really great answers. I think hearing other people's perspectives on the same subject is always interesting. It would also be great if other watch channels collaborated because it's a lot of fun and really great for the watch community. But I also have good news, Archie. Good news. I know it looks like I'm back in LA in my office, but this is just a green screen. I'm still in Brisbane, in my hotel room, less than 5 minutes from you.
Shit! I'm getting out of here now.
Archie? This guy, he's such a jokester. Well, I guess not everyone is a fan of the pop-in. And this is my Grand Seiko where it says Seiko and Rolex. And this is my Grand Seiko where it says Grand Seiko and Come on. Oh, it looks like I'm back in my hotel. And I know it looks like I'm back in office. I know it looks like I'm back in LA in my studio. Okay, I know it looks like I'm back in LA in my office, but I'm still in Brisbane. Brisbane, how hard is that? Brisbane, come on, man.